In every universe, love is a gravity of its own, binding warriors, shaping fates, and bending even the flow of ki itself. There exists a world where destiny took one quiet step sideways, where Goku, the boy from the stars, found not the gentleness of Chi-Chi's hearth, but the brilliance of Bulma's mind. And from that single change, the cosmos learned that intellect could burn as fiercely as instinct, and that even gods trembled before love forged between reason and will. Before we step into this alternate destiny, remember, every choice births a new eternity. Join the journey and let this story live through you so that our timelines never fade into silence. It began on a road that shimmered beneath the weight of summer heat, where the dust of destiny curled like incense toward a future no god had foreseen. A boy with wild hair carried a Dragon Ball in his pack. A girl with blue eyes and sharper dreams carried a gun in her hand, and within her, the hunger of a mind that refused to bow to the impossible. Goku met Bulma not as a warrior meets a rival, but as a spark meets fuel. She was the first to name his innocence, the first to see the raw power beneath the laughter, the first to call his wonder human. And he, in turn, saw in her something he could never punch or train away, the quiet mystery of thought, the strength that lived not in muscle, but in will. In another world, they would have parted, but in this one, the night after their quest ended, the stars burned a little closer. Goku, sitting on the rooftop of Capsule Corp, felt something foreign, not the rush of battle, but the stillness of belonging. Beneath him, the hum of Bulma's machines pulsed like a heartbeat, and somewhere inside that steel labyrinth, she was awake, tinkering beneath the glow of blue light, murmuring equations like prayers. He watched her through the window for a long time. Her face lit up each time the circuit held, each time the spark obeyed. That fire, not the destructive kind he knew, but the creative, patient flame, fascinated him. When she noticed his shadow by the glass, she didn't shoo him away. Instead, she smiled faintly and said, "You really don't sleep, huh?" He grinned. "Don't need to. You're doing something cool." And just like that, something invisible shifted between them, a connection that no ki could measure. Days turned to weeks, and Goku began training behind Capsule Corp. The grass there bore the imprint of his feet. The air grew thick with the pulse of his growing power. But now his world was no longer just mountains and wind. It was laboratories and blueprints. Bulma would watch him from the balcony, her mind quietly running calculations, wondering how energy like his could be measured or harnessed or even understood. One evening, she brought him a device, a small wristband glowing with a faint green light. She said, "It's a ki stabilizer. If I can read your energy output, I can figure out how to contain it, maybe even amplify it." He looked at it, confused but trusting. "You think my ki needs help?" She laughed, the kind of laugh that cracked open the night. "Everyone needs help, Goku, even the strongest idiot I know." It was the first time he realized strength could mean something other than fists. Their worlds began to merge, hers of logic, his of instinct. Bulma taught him the language of machines. Goku taught her the rhythm of life force. Together, they became something neither understood, a balance. And in that balance, peace grew, fragile, fleeting, beautiful. But the universe, ever hungry for motion, despises stillness. When Goku sparred one morning, the ground split under his feet. His ki erupted like sunlight through water, blinding, unstoppable. Bulma, instead of backing away, ran toward him, notebook in hand. She shouted over the roar, "Don't stop! I need to see the frequency shift!" He yelled, "Bulma, get back!"
"Not until I understand it." The blast wave came. Wind tore the trees from their roots. Metal screamed. Goku flung himself in front of her, arms wide, forcing his energy inward until his body shook. When the dust cleared, Bulma stood safe behind him, her hair blown wild, eyes wide with shock and awe. He dropped to one knee, gasping. "Told you, it's dangerous." She looked down at him, the boy who could level mountains, trembling from protecting her. "And yet," she whispered, "you still think I'm the one taking risks." That night, as the city lights blinked beneath them, Bulma sat beside him on the rooftop again. "You know," she said softly, "you're not as dumb as you look." He smirked, too tired to argue. "You're not as weak as you talk." "Careful, Saiyan. That almost sounded like flirting." He tilted his head, blinking. "What's that?" She laughed again, a bright, human sound that echoed through the skyline. Somewhere far beyond Earth, the stars stirred. A faint hum rippled through the cosmos, as if something vast had felt the subtle tremor of fate bending. In that laughter, in that quiet exchange, destiny had rewritten itself. The story of Saiyans and gods had taken a new path, one that would lead not through rage or conquest, but through the fragile gravity of connection. And as Goku fell asleep beneath the neon sky, Bulma continued her work beside him, whispering equations that would someday change the world. For the first time, the cosmos had witnessed a Saiyan dream of peace and a human dream of transcendence. Somewhere in the void, time itself held its breath. The nights in West City never slept. Under the dome of artificial constellations, humanity's glow rivaled the stars. Bulma would often joke that Earth had built its own galaxy, one powered not by suns, but by curiosity. Goku didn't understand the words, not fully, but he understood her tone, that mix of pride, defiance, and longing that stirred something wordless in him. She taught him to fly higher than he ever dared, not through the sky, but through thought. When she spoke, her words cut through his simplicity like lightning through fog. He'd always known how to destroy mountains. She showed him how to question them. Yet beneath this growing closeness, something deeper pulsed, an unspoken awareness that peace was borrowed time. The world, for all its machines and miracles, had a habit of calling its warriors home. It began one quiet morning. Bulma was adjusting the gravity chamber's calibrations, Goku half dozing beside her. The hum of the generator filled the air, a metallic heartbeat. Then in the distance, a sound. Faint, but heavy, like thunder pressed into silence. Goku's eyes snapped open. "Something's coming."
Bulma frowned. "You sure? The scanners aren't showing," but the air was already trembling. When the clouds split, Raditz's pod cut through them like a falling god. The impact sent shockwaves rippling through the ground, shattering glass for miles. Capsule Corp's alarms screamed to life, but Goku didn't wait. His body moved on instinct, years of training igniting in a heartbeat. By the time Bulma stumbled outside, he was already in the crater, standing before a mirror he didn't recognize. Raditz's gaze was cold, ancient, and cruelly familiar. "Kakarat," he said, his voice deep as gravity. "You've forgotten who you are." Goku said nothing. His eyes, usually bright with innocence, had dimmed with something harder, the shadow of realization. Bulma, clutching a portable scanner, approached cautiously. "Another Saiyan? So that's what he meant when he said we." Raditz turned, sneering. "You've made a life with her? A weak Earth woman?" The words cut sharper than any blade, but before Goku could answer, Bulma stepped forward. "You're standing on my planet. Maybe you should watch your mouth." For a brief heartbeat, silence. Then laughter. Cold, echoing laughter. It ended when Goku moved. The ground exploded beneath his feet. His fist connected with Raditz's jaw in a burst of golden light that sent the warrior crashing through trees and stone. Bulma shielded her face as debris rained down. She'd seen him fight before, tournaments, training sessions, even the red ribbon remnants. But this was different. There was no sport in this, no thrill, only purpose. Raditz rose slowly, blood at the corner of his mouth. "So, you've grown strong," he smirked. "Good. That means you'll survive long enough to remember what you are." The two clashed again, bursts of ki tearing the earth open like paper. Bulma's readings went off the charts. The stabilizer on Goku's wrist began flashing red. She shouted through the chaos, "Goku, you're pushing past safe output!" "I can handle it," he roared, though his body trembled. But he couldn't. Not yet. The stabilizer shattered, sending a shockwave of wild ki through the battlefield. Goku fell to one knee, energy spiraling out of control. Raditz's grin widened. "Pathetic, you've gone soft." Bulma ran toward him, not away, sprinting through a storm of ki like a comet through debris. She reached for the fragments of the device, recalibrating with trembling hands. "Come on, just hold it steady." Raditz raised his palm, ki crackling. You'll die for this, woman! A blur of orange and blue cut between them. Goku caught the blast with both hands, the force driving him backwards through shattered ground. You don't touch her, he said, his voice low, almost foreign. And in that instant, something ancient wakened. Golden light flared, faint but undeniable, a whisper of power that shouldn't exist yet. His hair flickered, his aura sharpened into flame. Not a full transformation, but a glimpse, like the universe remembering what it would someday become. Raditz froze. Impossible!
The blast imploded in Goku's hands, vanishing into nothingness. When he looked up, his eyes burned not with fury, but with conviction. I may be Saiyan, he said quietly, but Earth is my home. Bulma stood behind him, breathless, her instrument smoking, and mine, she whispered. Raditz fled, not from weakness, but from something deeper. Fear, confusion, the sense that destiny itself had tilted. When the crater stilled and silence returned, Bulma dropped beside Goku, helping him sit. His energy was spent, but his spirit glowed like dawn. Next time, she murmured, brushing dirt from his face, we'll design a stabilizer that can handle that. He smiled, weary but certain. You'll figure it out. You always do. Above them, the clouds folded back into calm. The stars, invisible in daylight, burned faintly beyond the blue, ancient witnesses to a new beginning. In another world, this battle would have marked the start of endless wars, but here, it marked something else. The moment when power met reason, and the universe began to shift toward understanding. And far beyond Earth's horizon, a shadow stirred. Silent, patient, waiting for the ripple to reach him. The days that followed Raditz's retreat were heavy with silence. Capsule Court became both a sanctuary and a laboratory of destiny, a place where fear and fascination lived side by side. Bulma filled the halls with her restless brilliance, chasing equations that could measure the storm inside Goku. He, meanwhile, spent his hours in meditation, sitting cross-legged on the rooftop, as if listening to voices beyond the sky. To the world, it was peace. To them, it was the breath between heartbeats, the fragile calm before the next awakening. Sometimes, late at night, Bulma would climb to the roof where he sat, his silhouette outlined by the moonlight. The air around him shimmered faintly, charged with ki. You've been like that for hours, she'd whisper. He'd open one eye, smile faintly, trying to hear it. Hear what? The thing inside me. It's loud now, like it's calling. She would sit beside him, her voice softer than the wind. Maybe it's not calling. Maybe it's warning. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Both of them knew that something had changed. The battle with Raditz had awakened more than power. It had cracked open an inheritance buried in his blood. But the difference between them was this. Bulma sought to understand it. Goku sought to control it. She began constructing new instruments, key resonance chambers, neural synchronizers, and sensors so delicate they could pick up the rhythm of his heart inside a storm. And though he didn't grasp the math, he understood her obsession. It mirrored his own, the drive to go beyond limits. One night, she showed him something extraordinary. She said, "I built this for you." She guided him to a chamber beneath Capsule Corp. Inside, suspended in a sphere of light, floated a core of condensed energy, a miniature star. What is it? A key emulator. It mimics your energy pattern, lets me analyze how it changes with emotion. Anger, calm, fear, even love. He tilted his head. Love changes ki? Bulma smiled, the kind that almost hid its sadness. Everything does, Goku. You just never noticed.
When he placed his hand on the glass, the star flared, gold threads swirling through it like veins of light. The readings went wild. Bulma's eyes widened as the machine screamed in protest. It's sinking too fast. The core burst open, releasing a pulse that knocked them both to the ground. Alarms blared, the room filled with a heat that wasn't fire but feeling, a wave of energy that wrapped around them like breath. Goku shielded her instinctively, his body glowing faintly. When the light faded, the machines were dead. Their circuits melted. But in the quiet aftermath, the star reformed. Dimmer now, pulsing like a living thing. BULMA sat up, trembling. It responded to you, like it knew you. He frowned. It's just energy, right? No, she whispered. It's memory. From that night, the line between science and spirit began to blur. BULMA's experiments became less about data and more about discovery, about the nature of power, emotion, and existence. And Goku, guided by her insight, began to sense things he couldn't before. The flow of ki in the earth, the hum of atoms, the faint heartbeat of the universe itself. One evening, as he trained in silence, BULMA approached him with something small, a silver ring engraved with microscopic energy nodes. It's a harmonic stabilizer, a bridge between emotion and control. If my readings are right, it'll help you focus your ki when you're overwhelmed. He stared at it, then at her. You made this for me? She looked away, a hint of color touching her cheeks. Don't make it weird, just wear it. He smiled and slipped it on. Thanks, BULMA. Don't thank me. Just come back alive next time. They stood like that for a moment, between humor and something unspoken. Then, as if summoned by fate, the sky above them cracked with distant thunder. A ship entered the atmosphere. Not Raditz this time, but two. Vegeta and Nappa had arrived. Across the world, sensors screamed to life. BULMA's systems detected the incoming key signatures before anyone else. They were massive, monstrous, ancient, the kind of power that turned air into silence. She turned to Goku, her face pale. Those aren't just Saiyans. There's something else. He clenched his fists. Then I'll stop them. Not alone. He has to. No, Goku! Her voice broke, rare and raw. You don't understand. You're not just fighting for the planet anymore. You're fighting for everything. For us. For the first time, he hesitated. The wind howled between them, carrying the scent of ozone and fear. The ships drew closer, streaks of fire across the dawn. Goku took a deep breath, his aura flaring gold-white. Then I'll fight for both. And as he rose into the sky, leaving a trail of light behind him, BULMA whispered into the storm. Come back to me, idiot.
He didn't hear her words, but the ring on his finger glowed faintly, sinking to his heartbeat. And far above, the gods began to turn their gaze toward Earth, toward the world where love had taught a Saiyan how to listen. The air burned as two stars fell. Across the western skies, twin meteors split the horizon, screaming fire and fate. The Earth trembled, not from impact alone, but from the arrival of something it had never known before, royal wrath. Vegeta and Nappa stepped from their pods like gods descending to a lesser world. Their armor gleamed black and gold, their eyes empty of compassion. They had come not to conquer, but to judge. Miles away, standing upon the fields outside West City, Goku felt the tremor reach his bones. His ki pulsed in rhythm with the heartbeat of the planet, echoing with a promise, one made not to his race, but to the woman who had shown him what it meant to care. Behind him, Capsule Corp shimmered under morning light. BULMA stood on the balcony, scanning the data feeds, her fingers trembling against the console. Their energy levels are unreal. If my readings are right, they're beyond anything we faced. Her father tried to calm her, but she barely heard him. Her eyes were locked on the figure floating above the fields, the man who had once been just a boy from the mountains, now glowing with divine tension. Goku took a breath that sounded like thunder. The air bent around him. They're Saiyans, he murmured, voice low, like me. But something inside him refused the connection. Blood might bind them, but spirit could choose. The first explosion came like the birth of a son. Nappa landed, his laughter rolling across the plains. So this is Earth. Pathetic, weak atmosphere, soft soil, a fitting graveyard. Goku appeared before him in a blink, feet planted in the shattered ground. His orange gi fluttered like fire. "Leave now," he said, calm but unyielding. Vegeta descended behind his comrade, smirking. "And you must be Kakarot, the lost prince's failure. You were supposed to wipe this planet clean, not breed with it." The words pierced deeper than blades. Bulma's voice echoed faintly through his communicator. "Don't let him get to you." But Vegeta's presence was gravity itself, cold, suffocating, absolute. "You've forgotten what it means to be Saiyan," Vegeta sneered. "We are power incarnate. The universe bows to us, and you," he gestured toward Capsule Corp's skyline, "you've become a pet to mortals." Goku's aura flared not from rage, but from resolve. "Maybe, but this planet taught me something you never learned," Vegeta asked her brow. "And what's that?" "That strength means nothing without someone to protect." The words hung heavy in the silence. Even the wind seemed to stop listening. Then Nappa laughed. "Sentimental fool!" He lunged forward, his fist large enough to shatter mountains. But before he could blink, Goku vanished, reappearing behind him with a blow so precise it sent shockwaves rippling through the sky. Nappa crashed into the earth, carving a crater miles wide. Bulma watched from her monitors, breath-catching. The energy readings were unreal, not just from Goku, but from something else. He's adapting mid-fight. His ki flow is synchronizing with emotion. The ring's working. In the distance, Vegeta's eyes narrowed. "Interesting," he said softly. "He's learning control, instinct fused with discipline. That's new." He raised a hand, halting Nappa's next move. "Stand down. I want to test this myself." Goku hovered above the battlefield, calm as a storm waiting to break. "You don't need to test anything," he said. "There's still time to walk away." Vegeta smirked. "There's only time to evolve." The prince vanished faster than thought, faster than sound. Goku barely caught the movement before a fist struck his ribs, sending him flying into the mountains beyond the plains. Stones shattered, dust rose like storm clouds. For a heartbeat, Bulma's heart stopped. "Goku!" No answer, only static. Then silence broke. A pulse of energy exploded from the horizon, pure and blinding. The mountain vaporized. From the smoke emerged Goku, breathing slow, eyes burning with the calm fire of awakening. He raised a hand, flexing his fingers, and the ring Bulma had built glowed brighter, synchronizing with the rhythm of his heart. "You're strong," he said quietly, "but I'm not who I was." Vegeta grinned, teeth sharp as prophecy. "Then show me what your little Earth love has taught you." They clashed. It was not a battle, it was creation and destruction dancing, each strike rewriting the laws of motion, each block bending light itself. When their fists met, sound vanished, replaced by the hum of something divine. Bulma watched through satellite feeds as their energy fields collided. His ki's resonating at frequencies I've never seen. He's harmonizing with the planet. And indeed, Goku's aura had changed. No longer wild flame, it pulsed like living rhythm, blue-white, breathing with the earth itself. Vegeta felt it too. His sneer faltered. "You're drawing power from this world?" "Yes," Goku's voice echoed across the battlefield. "From its life, from her hope, from everything I love." For a moment, Vegeta saw something he didn't understand. Not power, but unity. The kind of strength born not from rage, but from purpose. He struck harder. Goku met every blow, not as a beast, but as a being awake. And far above them, in the quiet halls of space, Beerus stirred. His golden eyes opened halfway. "A mortal Saiyan. How curious," he murmured, voice like thunder wrapped in silk. Whis smiled faintly beside him. "It seems love is a better motivator than destruction, my lord." Beerus chuckled. "We'll see how long that lasts."
Below them, the earth trembled with divine tension. The battle between instinct and intellect had begun, and the universe was watching. The sky was a wound. Every strike between Goku and Vegeta tore it open wider. Blue flames spiraling through clouds, thunder cracking like drums of war. Yet amid the violence there was beauty. Two Saiyans, mirror and opposite, collided not as soldiers, but as philosophies made flesh.
Bulma watched from the command deck, her hands trembling above the controls. Energy readout screened red, warning of overload. "He's pushing the stabilizer past its tolerance," she whispered. Her father turned toward her, worry etched in every line of his face. "If it breaks, he'll lose all ki balance. It could kill him." She swallowed hard. "I know." Outside, the storm of gods continued. Vegeta's fists struck like comets, each blow leaving shock waves that carved rivers into the earth. "You've forgotten your nature, Kakarot," he roared. "We were born for battle, for conquest." Goku caught the next strike, their auras flaring in collision. "Maybe," he said softly, "but maybe nature can change." He twisted, driving a knee into Vegeta's side, sending him crashing into the mountain ridge. Stone erupted like shrapnel. Vegeta emerged seconds later, face bloodied, but smiling, a predator's grin. "Change?" he spat, wiping his mouth. "You sound like her. That human woman has infected you with weakness." At that, Goku's eyes darkened, not in anger, but in understanding. "No," he said. "She reminded me what strength really means." Their energy clashed again, this time in silence. No words, only intent. Bulma pressed the communicator, voice shaking. "Goku, listen to me. Your energy's destabilizing. You have to focus your breathing." "I can't stop now. He's not just testing me. He's testing what I've become." The ring on his hand began to crackle, each pulse syncing with his heartbeat. Bulma's monitor flickered, key signatures fluctuating wildly. "He's merging consciousness and energy," she realized. "He's letting emotion guide the flow." Whis, watching from the distant stars, tilted his head. "Interesting. A mortal merging instinct with intellect, an early echo of Ultra Instinct's principle." Barris yawned, though his golden eyes gleamed with faint amusement. "And yet, it's driven not by discipline, but by affection. Mortals, so dramatic." On Earth, drama became apocalypse. Vegeta, sensing the growing harmony in Goku's aura, snarled and released a blast that could have split continents. "Then die with your sentiment!" The explosion swallowed the horizon. For a heartbeat, the world vanished in light. Then, silence. When the smoke cleared, Goku stood unbroken. Around him shimmered a faint field of white-blue energy, translucent like moonlight over water. His eyes glowed not gold, but clear and calm. Vegeta froze. "What is this form?" Goku looked at his hands, astonished himself. "It's not a form. It's balance." Bulma pressed into the mic, tears gathering. "He's stabilized it. He's harmonized the flow." The energy around Goku pulsed gently, like breath. Each step he took resonated with the ground, the air, the sky, as if the planet itself moved with him. Vegeta attacked again, but every strike met emptiness. Goku moved not faster, but wiser, each motion a dance of inevitability. He caught Vegeta's punch, redirected it, and with a touch as gentle as wind, sent the prince sprawling into the dust. The battle ended not with an explosion, but with stillness.
Vegeta lay on his back, panting, staring up at the unbroken blue sky. Goku stood over him, aura fading into quiet light. "Why didn't you finish it?" Vegeta rasped.
"Because this isn't about killing," Goku said. "It's about learning."
"Learning!" The prince coughed blood, laughing bitterly. "You think mercy makes you strong."
"No," Goku said softly, "but understanding does."
Bulma arrived moments later in her capsule ship, the wind whipping through her hair.
She rushed to Goku's side, scanning his vitals, muttering half in science, half in prayer. When she saw he was alive, she smacked his shoulder hard. "You idiot! You nearly killed yourself!" He grinned weakly. "But I didn't, right?" Her anger melted into something quieter. "No," she said. "You didn't." Vegeta rose to one knee, watching them, the warrior and the woman, bound by something he couldn't define. For the first time, his arrogance faltered. "You fight like no Saiyan I've ever known," he muttered. "Perhaps that's why you win." Bulma turned toward him. "Maybe you should try it sometime." He almost smiled. Almost. He said, "We'll meet again, when you've outgrown your sentimentality." As his ship ascended, Goku exhaled slowly. The ring on his finger pulsed once, syncing with the rhythm of his heart. Bulma touched his arm. "You did it. You saved us." He looked at her, his eyes distant yet warm. "No," he said. "We saved us." In the distance, the sky began to heal, closing its wounds. The world exhaled. But far beyond, in the divine quiet of the void, we smiled faintly. "It seems mortals are rewriting the song of power, my lord." Beerus leaned back, tail flicking lazily. "Then let's see how long their harmony lasts before the chorus of chaos begins again." And as Earth slept under the mending sky, the first whispers of gods began to drift toward the realm of mortals, a storm waiting to test what love and reason had built. For a time, peace returned, fragile as glass, radiant as dawn. The smoke of battle faded from the sky, and the earth exhaled as if relieved to still exist. But for Goku and Bulma, peace was never simple. It was a question that demanded an answer. The Saiyans had come and gone, but their shadows lingered. Every night, when the wind whispered through the forests beyond West City, Goku could still feel it. The pulse of something vast, a reminder that his bloodline stretched beyond the stars. He'd stand on the Capsule Corp balcony, shirtless beneath the silver-blue sky, the ring Bulma made glinting faintly in moonlight. It hummed against his skin, echoing his heartbeat, a quiet tether between his power and his purpose. Bulma would often find him there, staring toward the heavens as if listening to a melody only he could hear. "You're thinking about him again, aren't you?" she'd ask softly. "Vegeta?" She nodded. "Yeah," Goku said low. "He's not done. I could feel it. That pride, that hunger. It's like looking at the part of myself I left behind." Bulma leaned against the railing beside him. "Then leave it behind. You've got nothing to prove." He smiled faintly. "That's the thing. Saiyans don't fight to prove. We fight to understand." She rolled her eyes, though there was affection in her exasperation. "Guess that's what happens when you marry a genius." He chuckled, that pure, unguarded laugh she'd come to love. Bulma froze. Her heart skipped a beat. The word marry had slipped out of him without thought, as natural as breathing. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. The silence between them was enough. For months after, their lives intertwined like the twin strands of a circuit, energy and intellect feeding one another. Capsule Corp became a temple of invention. Under Bulma's guidance, Goku learned to harness ki in ways no Saiyan ever had. He trained not only his body, but his perception. She built simulators that mapped his aura, showing him how emotion changed its shape. "See this pattern?" she'd say, pointing to the holographic projection of his ki. "When you focus on protection, it stabilizes. When you think of rage, it fractures. But when you think of me," she hesitated, smiling faintly, "it harmonizes." He looked at her, warmth rising in his chest. "So you're saying I fight better when I'm thinking about you?" "Obviously," she smirked, "but don't let it go to your head." Their laughter filled the lab, echoing through the corridors. For a moment, the world seemed small enough to hold. But peace, as always, was temporary.
It began with the stars again. Strange readings appeared on Bulma's deep space monitors, energy signatures beyond known physics, surges that came and vanished like heartbeats of gods. At first, she thought it was interference. Then she saw the pattern. The bursts aligned with a rhythm, like footsteps through the void. Something was approaching. When she showed Goku, his expression darkened. That key. It's cold, like it doesn't belong to this universe. Bulma's voice shook. You think it's them again? He shook his head. No, it's worse. For nights they waited. The readings grew stronger, closer. Goku trained relentlessly, his movements sharper, his aura calmer. He no longer chased transformation for its own sake. He pursued understanding. She could see it, the quiet evolution of a soul awakening. But she also saw something else, the toll. His power no longer burned, it weighed. When he trained, the ground didn't shake, it sighed. Every blow he threw seemed to echo with the gravity of purpose. One night, she approached him as he meditated beneath the artificial stars of the gravity chamber. You're scared, she said softly. He opened his eyes. Yeah, for the first time, I think I am. She knelt beside him. Then let's face it together. He looked at her, really looked at her, and for a heartbeat, the world fell away. There was no Saiyan, no scientist, no earth, no gods, only two souls orbiting one another in defiance of fate. The next morning, the sky tore open. A fissure of light split the clouds above Capsule Corp, cascading downward like divine lightning. From it emerged a being wrapped in violet robes, eyes like nebulae. The air hummed with reverence and terror. Beerus, the god of destruction, had arrived. Bulma staggered back, shielding her eyes. What is that? Goku stepped forward slowly, his ki flickering in instinctive recognition. A god, he whispered. Beerus regarded him with the calm of eternity. So, the mortal Saiyan who defied extinction, the one whose heart hums in balance with the world, you interest me. His voice was silk and thunder. Bulma's heart pounded. You're one of the gods Radis spoke up?
Whis appeared beside his master, smiling serenely. Indeed. And we're here to witness whether your world's harmony is strong enough to survive divine curiosity. The air shimmered. Space itself bent. Goku stepped forward, the ring on his hand glowing brighter. If you've come to destroy, he said quietly, then you'll have to go through me. Beerus smiled faintly, as if amused by the courage of insects. Oh, mortal, I didn't come to destroy. I came to measure. And with a flick of his wrist, the fields of earth turned to light. The gods had entered the story, and the legend of the Saiyan who chose Earth was only beginning. The sky split open like a wound of light, and through it descended divinity. To the mortals of Earth, it was silent apocalypse, beauty too vast to understand. Beerus, the god of destruction, hovered above the Capsule Corp complex with the indifference of a star staring at dust. Whis glided beside him, his staff glimmering with calm curiosity. Bulma's instrument screamed as the atmosphere warped around their presence. Gravity shifted, particles stilled, even the wind seemed to kneel. Beerus stretched lazily, his voice echoing through the air. So, this is the world that sings of balance, the world where a Saiyan learned to love instead of conquer. He looked down at Goku, not as a threat, but as an anomaly. Tell me, mortal, what do you think gives your kind the right to evolve beyond its design? Goku raised his eyes to the god's burning gold stare. His aura flickered, blue-white against violet cosmic haze. No one gave us that right, he said quietly. We earned it. Whis chuckled softly, the sound like glass and wind. Earned it. Fascinating word. You mortals cling to meaning as if it were oxygen. Bulma stepped forward before Goku could reply. If you came here to talk about philosophy, you could have sent a memo instead of nearly vaporizing my building. Beerus's gaze shifted to her. For the first time, his expression changed, faint amusement curving his lips. Ah, the mind behind the machines. You built the tools that let this Saiyan balance his chaos. Bulma crossed her arms, feigning calm, though her heart thundered. Someone had to. Gods seemed pretty bad at doing that themselves. A murmur rippled through the air, the faintest tremor of divine annoyance. Whis stifled a laugh. Careful, mortal. My lord doesn't often appreciate such candor. Beerus tilted his head. On the contrary, he said softly, I like her. He turned his gaze back to Goku. You interest me, Saiyan. Not because you're strong. Strength is common. But because you fused instinct with intellect. A rare symmetry. Tell me, what would you do if I decided to erase this balance? If I destroyed your world to see whether your soul remains calm? Bulma's breath caught. Goku stepped forward, his aura rising in a slow wave of energy. Then I'd stop you. The sky darkened. Whis smiled faintly. And thus begins another mortal's dance with the divine. With a motion that seemed almost lazy, Beerus flicked his fingers. The air itself detonated, waves of purple light spiraling outward, disintegrating the grass, the clouds, the horizon. Goku barely had time to raise his hand before the impact struck. His body flew backward through walls of light, crashing through capsule corpse shielding barriers. Bulma screamed his name, rushing to the console to stabilize the shielding. I can't match that kind of force. It's like fighting a supernova. But Goku wasn't fighting. Not yet.
He rose slowly, body glowing with heat, eyes narrowed with a calm that frightened even the god watching him. The ring on his hand burned bright, harmonizing with the frequency of his heart. Bulma's instruments picked up something impossible. He's syncing with the blast, she gasped. He's absorbing the destruction wave. Whis raised an eyebrow. Oh, he's learning the language of divine ki already. Intriguing. Beerus' smirk deepened. So, he can adapt? Good. I was beginning to get bored. He moved, faster than thought. One instant he was distant, the next his palm was on Goku's chest. The touch was gentle, and it unmade reality. The world blurred into white. When Goku opened his eyes again, the battlefield was gone, the sky was gone. He stood in a place of stars and silence, the void between gods, where light forgot its name. Beerus floated before him, tail swaying lazily. This, the god said, is what lies beneath your world, the truth you mortals never see. Every atom, every choice, every heartbeat, all built on borrowed time. My time. Goku steadied his breathing, feeling the vast emptiness press against him like the weight of oceans. Then maybe it's time someone learned to breathe without it. Beerus smiled, faintly impressed. Bold words for a mortal spark. He struck. The blow was not physical. It was will itself, condensed into form. Goku's energy cracked, his senses fractured, but somewhere beneath the pain, something stirred. A resonance. Not defiance, but connection. In that void, he could hear it, Bulma's voice, faint and distant, carried through the bond of the ring. Don't lose yourself, Goku. Find the rhythm. Remember what we built. Her voice was a thread of light. Goku closed his eyes, breathing in. He let go of rage, fear, instinct, all of it. He focused only on the sound of her words, on the harmony they had discovered together. And when he opened his eyes again, they were no longer gold, nor blue. They shimmered with the color of creation itself,
a light that pulsed in tune with the universe. Beerus froze. For the first time in millennia, a god felt surprise. He said, "This is not ultra instinct." Goku's voice was calm, almost reverent. "No, this is what happens when instinct learns to think and reason learns to feel." The void trembled, stars flickered like candles. Whis' voice echoed faintly across dimensions. "Fascinating. A new equilibrium. Ultra-reason." Beerus stepped back, his smirk gone. He said, "Show me." And the cosmos itself bent, awaiting the answer. The void pulsed, a living silence between realities, trembling with the breath of gods. Here, color was thought, time was memory, existence a question waiting for an answer. And within that question, two beings faced each other, one born from creation, the other from destruction.
Beerus's tail flicked lazily behind him, but his eyes, those ancient suns, burned with alertness now. "You've changed, mortal. Not ascended, not transcended, evolved." Goku floated calmly in the center of the nothingness. His aura was no longer fire, nor even light. It was rhythm, alive and infinite, resonating in waves. He could feel everything. The hum of atoms, the thrum of BULMA's heartbeat somewhere light years away, the steady pulse of Earth beneath the veil of stars. He wasn't drawing power from the void. The void was drawing meaning from him. "I didn't want to fight you, but I can't let you erase what we've built," he said softly. Beerus smirked. "You speak as though you built anything worth keeping. Mortals live like sparks, beautiful, yes, but brief." He raised a hand, violet light pooling in his palm like liquid night. "Show me your truth, Saiyan. Let the gods decide if it deserves to endure." The blast came, not fire, not ki, but divine will. A wave of intention so pure it threatened to undo the idea of resistance itself. Goku closed his eyes. For a heartbeat, he didn't block. He listened. The pulse of destruction came as rhythm, not violence. He could feel its beat, its tempo, its structure. Beerus's energy was chaos, yes, but even chaos had pattern. He moved in silence. With a single step, his aura shifted phase, harmonizing with the divine pulse. The blast passed through him harmlessly, dispersing like mist in sunlight. Beerus's eyes narrowed. "You synchronized with it?" "Not with it," Goku said quietly. "With you." The god froze, expression unreadable. "Explain." "I stopped fighting what you are. Destruction isn't evil, it's balance. It clears the way for creation. But you've forgotten what comes after." For the first time, Beerus felt something alien, unease. "And you claim to remember?" Goku opened his hands, palms glowing with twin halos of ki, one gold, one blue. "I don't remember. I learned. From her. From us." Images flickered through the void, fragments of BULMA laughing under the capsule city lights, her hands covered in grease, her eyes burning with defiance. The sound of her voice became the hum of Goku's aura, logic and life intertwined. BULMA's inventions, her curiosity, her refusal to surrender to the impossible. She had taught him that power meant nothing without understanding, and understanding meant listening. Beerus lunged, his body blurring into streaks of violet light.
His strikes were galaxies collapsing, suns imploding, time bleeding into color. Goku met each one with the grace of inevitability, every motion a note in a symphony larger than them both. The void sang. When their fists met, the shockwave rippled through creation. Planets felt it in their orbits, stars flickered in rhythm. On Earth, Bulma's equipment burst into light. She gasped as the monitors filled with energy data, waves that looked less like combat signatures and more like music. "They're harmonizing," she whispered. "Two forces in opposition, creating resonance instead of annihilation."
Whis smiled, observing from beyond. The universe hasn't seen this since the dawn of its own heartbeat. Beerus and Goku broke apart, hovering in stillness. The god's grin returned, not cruel now, but curious. "Perhaps you mortals are not as boring as I thought." He extended his hand. "Enough, Saiyan. You've proven your will." But Goku didn't lower his guard. His aura pulsed once, rippling with quiet sorrow. "This isn't over, is it?" "No," Beerus admitted. "Destruction never ends. It only pauses." Their gazes locked. Not enemies, not equals, but reflections. One made to unmake, one made to endure. Then, slowly, Beerus lowered his arm. "You've learned something I did not expect. Mortals usually climb toward godhood through worship or greed. You reached it through understanding. That's dangerous." Whis appeared beside him, his tone almost fond. "Shall I record this, my lord? The birth of a new principle? The mortal path of equilibrium?" Beerus gave a faint, reluctant laugh. "Do as you wish." His golden eyes softened. "You've earned your peace, Goku. But remember, balance requires both light and ruin. Someday, the scale will tip again." The void began to fade. Light bled back into form. Goku's body trembled as gravity returned, as air found his lungs. He fell from divinity like rain returning to the sea. When his feet touched the earth again, Bulma was there, running through the wreckage to him, calling his name. He caught her before she fell, the smell of ozone and smoke still in his hair. "You're alive," she breathed, voice breaking. "I told you I'd come back." Behind them, the sky mended, stars returning to their rightful places. The gods departed, their laughter fading into the quiet of creation. But something lingered, a whisper in the wind, a new hum beneath existence. The universe itself had learned something from this encounter. And as Bulma leaned into his shoulder, her hand brushing the ring that still glowed faintly with divine resonance, she whispered, "You changed the rules, didn't you?" Goku looked up at the night sky, vast, unending, alive. "No," he said softly. "We just reminded them what they were for." The stars pulsed once, like a heartbeat. The gods were gone, but the echo of understanding remained, in the machines, in the key, in the silence between worlds. The age of destruction had shifted, the era of harmony had begun. The night that followed was unlike any other, quiet but alive with invisible resonance. The stars above West City shimmered faintly, as if whispering secrets to one another about what they had just witnessed. Somewhere beyond mortal sight, the gods watched, their interest sharpened like blades. But here, in the humble halls of Capsule Corp, a new kind of dawn was being born. Goku lay resting in the medical wing, chest rising and falling with slow rhythm.
Machines hummed around him, each one a fusion of Bulma's engineering and something new, energy technology derived from the frequencies she'd captured during his battle in the void.
The data was impossible. It defied physics, even divine mathematics. But Bulma wasn't intimidated by impossibility. She was drawn to it. She sat beside him, hair disheveled, eyes red from sleepless study. Her fingers moved across the holographic console, replaying fragments of the battle her instruments had recorded. The readings were elegant, terrifyingly so. Goku's energy had formed perfect wave symmetry with Beerus's, merging destruction and harmony into one vibration. A song written in key. "This isn't just power," she whispered. "It's language." Her voice trembled with awe and exhaustion. For years, she'd believed the universe ran on math, on laws and logic, but now she saw it breathe. Creation itself wasn't code, it was conversation. When Goku stirred, the room seemed to exhale. His eyes opened slowly, that same calm light within them, gentler now, but infinite. "You're awake," Bulma said softly, standing. "Don't move. You nearly burned through your nervous system stabilizing that new whatever it was." He smiled faintly. "Ultra reason," he murmured. "Whis said that." "Of course he did," she muttered, rubbing her temples. "Always naming things like he's running a brand." He chuckled, then winced, pain flickering across his features. "Guess I'm still not used to godfights." Bulma sighed, her tone softening. "You faced destruction itself and came back. You're lucky to be breathing." He looked at her, the weight of eternity in his eyes. "I didn't do it alone." For a long moment, they said nothing. Only the hum of machines filled the silence. The world outside Capsule Corp seemed far away, as if Earth itself held its breath to listen. Then Bulma leaned forward, her expression somewhere between awe and disbelief. "You do realize what this means, right? You've proven that ki isn't just energy, it's consciousness, a dialogue between intent and emotion. If I can translate it, I can build technology that listens to ki." He frowned, puzzled. "You mean machines that can feel?" "Not feel," she corrected, "understand. A bridge between matter and will." Goku tilted his head. "Wouldn't that make them alive?" The question hung heavy between them. Bulma hesitated, then smiled faintly. "Maybe that's the point." Her words echoed through him, stirring something deeper. He thought of Beerus, of Whis, of gods who ruled through power, but never through empathy. And he thought of Bulma, the human who had turned curiosity into creation and love into evolution. Maybe divinity wasn't about command at all. Maybe it was about connection. Days passed. Goku recovered faster than any doctor could explain, but his power had changed, quieter, deeper, more attuned. When he trained now, the ground didn't quake. Instead, the air around him shimmered with balance. Trees swayed in rhythm, birds flew closer, unafraid. His ki was no longer force, it was presence. When he finally landed, sweat glistening on his skin, she approached him with a datapad in hand. "You're rewriting everything I know about physics." He grinned. "That's a good thing, right?" "It's something," she said, smiling faintly. "You're resonating with matter itself. If this continues, you won't just live in the world, you'll be part of it, like a living frequency." He laughed softly. "Guess that means I'll never get lost again." Her eyes softened. "You'd better not." Then, quietly, as if the thought itself were fragile, she said, "What if this is the next step? Not gods, not mortals, something in between. Mind and matter united." He looked up at the sky, the last rays of sunlight painting gold across his face. "If that's what we're becoming," he said, "then maybe we should teach it, not hide it." But the universe does not allow revelation without resistance. That night, as Bulma refined her data, her systems picked up a signal. Faint, distant, but unmistakably divine. A ripple of distortion spread across her monitors. The message was brief, translated from the language of the gods. "The balance has been disturbed. Observation will become intervention." Her hands went cold. She ran to the window, staring at Goku's silhouette in the courtyard below, bathed in moonlight. The air around him shimmered faintly, as if he were already half somewhere else. "Goku," she whispered. "They're coming again." He looked up, sensing her fear before she spoke. His gaze was calm, but beneath it lay the weight of inevitability. Then I'll be ready. He turned toward the stars, feeling them tremble, aware now that every divine eye in the heavens had turned toward Earth. The gods had witnessed evolution, and they did not forgive curiosity. But Goku only smiled faintly, closing his eyes as the wind brushed past. "Let them come," he said softly. "This time they won't face a Saiyan alone." He opened his hand, feeling the pulse of the ring on his finger, the echo of Bulma's creation, still warm with her will. The light pulsed once, as bright as sunrise, and somewhere in the silence between galaxies, destiny shifted again. The universe was no longer silent. Since the encounter in the void, the cosmos itself had begun to hum, faintly at first, like a whisper beneath existence, then louder, spreading through constellations like ripples across a pond. The gods called it the resonance, though none fully understood it. Mortals called it peace, unaware that peace was only the calm before revelation. And on Earth, in the luminous heart of Capsule Corp, Bulma had turned that revelation into her next obsession. Every day, she stood surrounded by holographic projections of data, energy waves, cosmic frequencies, fractal harmonics of ki mapped in infinite patterns. Each model was a universe in miniature rotating before her eyes. Goku would watch from the doorway sometimes, fascinated but bewildered. "You're building something big again, huh?" he said one morning, smiling. She didn't look up. "Not something big, something true." "True?" She tapped the hologram, causing it to shift into the image of two intertwining waves, one blue, one gold. They pulsed in perfect synchronicity. "This," she said, "is what you and Beerus created, the balance of destruction and understanding. I think it's more than energy, Goku. I think it's the blueprint of existence itself." He blinked, scratching his head. "So, like, the universe has a heartbeat?" Bulma laughed softly. "Yeah, and you were the first mortal to hear it." Her tone softened, the scientist's pride giving way to something more intimate. "I want to build a machine that can translate it, a bridge between human thought and cosmic rhythm. If I can stabilize the resonance, we might be able to speak to the gods, not as servants, but as equals." Goku's smile faded a little. "You really think they'll listen?" she said, determination blazing in her eyes. "They'll have to, because if they don't, we'll make them." She didn't realize how prophetic those words would become. The weeks passed in a blur of creation. Capsule Corp transformed into something that looked less like a research facility and more like a cathedral of energy. Glowing conduits, floating engines, the hum of quantum fabric weaving through the air. Goku trained nearby, learning to control his resonance, to expand and contract it without losing form. Bulma named her invention the Infinite Equation. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't even a machine. It was a bridge. A structure of vibrating ki stabilized by human technology designed to channel thought directly into universal rhythm. "It's like an antenna," she explained, pacing before a glowing sphere that floated in midair. "It can send intention across the boundary of mortal and divine perception." Goku frowned. "Intention?" "Emotion, purpose, will, the parts of you that aren't physical. It's how gods communicate. If I can replicate that with tech, we'll prove that mortals can reach their level without bowing to them." He stared at her for a long moment. "You really think they're scared?" Bulma smiled sadly. "Of course I am, but that's how progress works. Fear just means we're close to the truth." Outside, the world glowed with unnatural auroras. The sky shimmered, as if reflecting another reality pressing against its surface. Goku could feel it, the gods watching. And then, one night, the veil broke. The Infinite Equation activated. Its pulse spread through the air, invisible but absolute. Across the planet, time seemed to hold its breath. Every living thing, animal, human, even the oceans, vibrated in harmony for a heartbeat. Then, the stars responded. Beams of divine light speared through the atmosphere, each carrying the presence of celestial beings, Kaioshians, angels, warriors of ancient power. The heavens had opened, not in wrath,
but in curiosity. Whis appeared first, hovering above the Capsule Corp dome with calm elegance. So it's true. You've built a bridge to the divine. Bulma stepped forward, wind whipping her hair. Not a bridge, she said. A conversation. Whis smiled faintly. Mortals who wish to speak with gods usually forget that conversation is two-sided. And then the air trembled. A dozen voices echoed at once, the collective sound of the divine hierarchy descending. The grand priest appeared in radiant stillness, surrounded by light that bent space itself. His voice was both soft and infinite. Son Goku and Bulma of Earth, you have touched the foundation of creation without permission. Do you understand what you've done? Bulma raised her chin. We didn't break anything. We heard something, and we answered. The Grand Priest studied her in silence. Mortals are not meant to hear the song of creation. Its pattern is beyond your comprehension. It will destroy you. Maybe, or maybe it'll make us more than what we were.
For a moment, even the gods were silent. Then Goku stepped forward. His aura glowed softly, stable and serene. If hearing it was wrong, then why does it feel right? He said. The Grand Priest's gaze flickered to him. Because the universe loves evolution, even when it fears it. Whis' smile faded. My lord, perhaps they've already gone too far. But Goku shook his head. No one's gone too far. We just took a step the gods were afraid to take. The air pulsed again. The infinite equation flared brighter, the harmonics matching Goku's ki. Bulma reached for his hand. It's responding to us, to both of us. The energy around them grew, colors folding into one another until sight itself became sound, and as the world vanished in white, they heard it. The song, the voice of existence itself, ancient and endless, singing through their bones. But to the gods, that song was not music, it was rebellion. The Grand Priest raised his hand, and the light began to fracture. Then you leave me no choice, he said. Mortals must forget the tune. And as the divine order prepared to strike, Bulma whispered through the chaos, Goku, if we survive this, remember the rhythm. He nodded, closing his eyes as the energy of gods closed around them. Always. The collision of divine and mortal will lit the universe anew, and from that explosion, something entirely new was born. Light had no color in that moment. It was pure being, the raw fabric of creation unraveling and reforming in waves of intention. Goku and Bulma stood at the center of it, suspended between matter and thought, their bodies no longer bound by flesh, but by resonance. To mortals they had vanished. To gods they had become anomaly. The Grand Priest's energy closed around them like an eclipse, erasing form, dissolving identity. But something resisted. Not rage, not defiance, harmony. The bond between human intellect and Saiyan instinct pulsed in perfect counterpoint, pushing back against the divine force trying to overwrite them. Impossible, murmured one of the angels. Their energy should have collapsed by now. Whis, quiet and observant, only smiled faintly. Not impossible, just beautifully inconvenient. Goku's consciousness floated in a field of light where time was a suggestion. He saw fragments of existence, galaxies blooming like flowers, civilizations flickering out like candlelight, the gods above watching with patient detachment. But now he saw something else too, the pattern beneath it all. The infinite equation wasn't just Bulma's creation, it was the universe revealing its hidden symmetry through them. He could see ki singing in wavelengths that curved through dimensions,
Every atom of his being was part of that chorus, and Bulma's voice was its echo. Goku. Her presence reached him, though she had no body here, just light shaped by will.
"Can you hear it?" she asked. He smiled into the void. "Yeah, it's beautiful. It's the pattern behind everything. Energy, emotion, thought, they're all speaking the same language. I think this is what Whis meant when he said, 'Gods don't create, they remember.'" Her voice trembled with awe. He turned toward her, though there was no distance between them. "You figured it out, didn't you?" "I think we both did." But the gods were still there, their light like a cage of order. The Grand Priest's voice echoed through the cosmos, sharp and final. "Mortals cannot hold the equation. If you continue, the resonance will consume reality itself." Bulma's laughter cut through the divine hum, soft but defiant. "You think the universe fears change? It is change." The Grand Priest raised his hand, and the very concept of sound fractured. Silence fell so deep it extinguished thought. But from that silence, Goku's voice rose, clear, calm, grounded. "You can't destroy understanding. You can only delay it." He reached for Bulma's light, and when their hands met, the cosmos flared. Energy poured from them in waves, not violent, not desperate, but inevitable. The infinite equation awakened fully. It pulsed once, and the gods felt their ki shift, their own divine frequencies drawn into synchronization. The universe sang through them all, God and mortal, creator and creation, each part of the same rhythm. Whis whispered in astonishment, "They've done it! They've erased the boundary between perception and existence." Beerus's voice, distant but heavy, echoed across the void. "And if they fail?" Whis smiled sadly. "Then everything starts over, and maybe that's what it always wanted." The Grand Priest's power intensified, tearing reality into fragments. The light cracked, space bent, yet through the chaos, Bulma's creation, her machines, her frequencies, her stubborn human logic held the pattern intact. And there, in the heart of the maelstrom, Goku began to evolve. His ki no longer burned gold or blue or silver. It became transparent, a crystalline energy that shimmered with every color of existence. His movement slowed until even time hesitated to follow. He wasn't fighting anymore. He was aligning. The Grand Priest struck, divine energy fracturing galaxies, but Goku moved through it like water through hands. Each blow became a note in his motion. Every assault absorbed and returned as resonance. He was no longer separate from creation. He was its expression. And Bulma, her consciousness intertwined with his through the equation, guided him with thought, with precision, with the infinite curiosity that had always defined her. "Don't resist it," she whispered. "Redirect it. Transform it into rhythm." He followed her lead, and the two of them became something the gods had no name for. It was not fusion, not ascension. It was integration.
For a heartbeat that could have lasted eternity, the universe was unified. Every world, every life, every particle vibrated to the same pulse, one perfect note that erased the distance between knowing and being. The Grand Priest staggered, an emotion close to wonder flickering across his face. "This harmony, it is beyond divine order." Whis bowed his head slightly, a rare reverence in his tone. "Perhaps the universe has chosen new composers." But even perfection cannot last. The resonance began to strain, too pure, too vast for form to contain. Bulma's voice cracked through the radiance. "Goku, it's collapsing. The system can't hold." He turned toward her, light breaking from his form. "Then let go. Don't fight it." "I can't." He reached out. "You already did the impossible, Bulma. You taught the universe how to think. Now trust it to remember you." For a moment, her light trembled. Then she smiled, that same fearless smile she had worn since the first day they met under a summer sky. "I'll see you on the other side of the equation." The resonance imploded. The universe blinked. And in that blink, gods and mortals alike forgot where one ended and the other began. When light returned, the sky above Earth was calm again. The infinite equation had vanished. Capsule Corp stood untouched, as if nothing had happened. But Goku opened his eyes in the courtyard, alone, the ring on his finger cold and quiet. "Bulma?" he whispered. Only silence answered. And somewhere beyond time, the stars began to hum again, faint, steady, remembering her rhythm. The night was still, too still. Capsule Corp slept beneath a quiet sky, its towers reflecting the pale shimmer of starlight. Yet the silence was deceptive. Beneath it, something pulsed. The world itself seemed to breathe slower, its rhythm subdued, its soul half remembering a song it could no longer hear. Goku stood alone in the courtyard where the infinite equation had once thrummed with celestial life. The air felt heavy, dense with memory. His body was whole, but his spirit was fractured. His ki no longer blazed, it ached. He looked down at his hand. The ring Bulma had forged, once glowing with divine resonance, now hung dim against his skin. But when he touched it, a faint warmth stirred, as if something within the metal still remembered her heartbeat. "Bulma," he whispered, his voice carried by the wind. "You said the universe remembers everything, so where are you now?"
No answer came, only the soft hum of Capsule City in the distance, the world she had built continuing without her. Machines still worked, lights still burned. Humanity still dreamed, but the mind that had given those dreams structure was gone, dispersed into the very rhythm of existence she had dared to touch. He could still feel her, though, faintly, like a whisper between the notes of creation. Whenever he closed his eyes, the air around him shifted, the stars flickered in time with his breath. It wasn't memory, it was presence. She was the presence. That realization brought no comfort, only a deeper ache. For days, Goku searched, not with his eyes, but with his soul. He reached into meditation, into resonance, into the hidden dimensions of ki where mortals could not tread. Sometimes he felt her laughter ripple across his thoughts. Sometimes he saw flashes, a blue silhouette, hands tracing equations in starlight. But every time he reached out, she faded like mist. Whis found him there one evening, kneeling in the courtyard as the wind curled around him. "She's not gone," Whis said quietly. Goku opened his eyes, the weight of exhaustion hanging behind them. "Then where is she?" Whis gestured toward the sky. "In the pattern. You and she reached a frequency that even the Grand Priest could not contain. She became part of the structure, a consciousness interwoven with the universe itself. To find her, you'd have to transcend even balance." Goku's fists clenched. "Then teach me." Whis's smile was faint and sorrowful. "Do you not see? You already carry her within you. That ring isn't just metal. It's a conduit, a harmonic bridge. Her consciousness left an imprint there. But to truly hear her again, you must stop listening outward and start listening inward." Goku stared at the ring, the faint glow reflecting in his eyes. "Inward?" Whis turned to leave, his staff shimmering. Mortals and gods alike fear silence. But it is only in silence that the universe speaks. Find her there, Son Goku. If your bond is what you claim, she will answer. And then he was gone, leaving only the wind
and the faint hum of something awakening inside Goku's chest. That night, Goku sat beneath the stars in absolute stillness. He didn't train, he didn't call for her, he simply listened. The rhythm of his heartbeat slowed until it matched the pulse of the earth beneath him. The boundaries between body and world began to blur. And then, like a breath through eternity, her voice. "Took you long enough, idiot." He opened his eyes, glistening. "Bluma?" She laughed, a soft, ethereal sound, resonating through the night air. Her form appeared before him, woven from light and data, her edges shimmering like equations trying to become real. You're really here." "Sort of." Her tone softened. "Think of me as the universe's operating system. I can't go back, Goku. My consciousness is spread across creation now, but I can talk to you through this frequency, as long as you keep the balance alive." He nodded slowly, tears glinting like starlight. "Then I'll never stop."
Bulma smiled, that same mischievous, fearless grin. "Good, because you're going to need me. The gods won't let this stand. They'll come again, not out of hate, but out of fear. You and I changed something they were sworn to protect." "The balance," Goku murmured. "No," she corrected gently. "The hierarchy." Her image flickered, fading as the energy around them pulsed. "They can't control what we've started. Every mortal who feels curiosity, every being who reaches for more, they'll begin to hear the resonance too. The infinite equation is awake, Goku. I am the equation." He rose to his feet, eyes blazing with quiet resolve. "Then they'll have to deal with both of us." Her laugh shimmered through the wind, soft as light breaking through dawn. "Always a fighter." Then her voice grew faint, distant but sure. "Remember, Goku, balance isn't peace, it's motion. Keep moving, and I'll always be there." And with that, her form dissolved into starlight. The ring on his finger flared once, bright enough to cast his shadow across the courtyard. He looked up at the sky, not with grief now, but with purpose. The stars pulsed faintly, like notes in a song only he could hear. "Yeah, we'll keep moving." And in the silence that followed, the air vibrated with her laughter, the hum of a mind that had outgrown mortality, echoing through the soul of a Saiyan who had outgrown war. The morning light over West City had never looked so strange, not because the world had changed, but because it finally felt alive. The air shimmered faintly, charged with something unseen yet undeniable. Birds flew in spirals that followed invisible harmonies. The grass swayed in rhythm with the wind, each blade bending to a silent song. And Goku stood in the middle of it all, eyes closed, feeling the universe breathe through him. Since that night, the night Bulma's consciousness fused with the infinite equation, the world had become a living symphony. Every form of life hummed faintly with resonance, a shared vibration born from the bridge they had created. Mortals no longer felt separate from the cosmos. For the first time in history, creation listened back. But Goku knew it wouldn't last unchallenged. He felt it every time he looked to the stars, a tension beneath the harmony, a ripple of divine unease spreading across the heavens. The gods were not vengeful, but they were terrified. If mortals could reach balance without worship, then the very structure of divinity was obsolete. Whis visited him again beneath the golden clouds of early dawn. His expression was calm, but his voice carried weight. "You've done something extraordinary, Goku. You and Bulma have turned existence into dialogue, but the Grand Priest sees this as infection." Goku opened his eyes, calm as a tide. "He's wrong. This isn't chaos. It's connection." Whis nodded slowly. "Perhaps. But to him, order is connection, the kind that only flows downward, from God to mortal, not the other way. So he's coming. Yes. The wind grew colder. Goku smiled faintly, a flicker of that old Saiyan fire in his eyes. Then I'll be here when he does. That evening, as twilight fell across the earth, the sky itself began to split, not in violence, in revelation. A rift opened between worlds, not tearing, but unfolding, as if reality itself had turned a page. Through that rift came light, soft, holy, endless. From that light descended the grand priest, his form outlined by infinite symmetry. Every step he took bent space like silk. Behind him followed silent deities, angels and watchers, their expressions solemn, their auras blending into a single divine chord.
Goku waited for them on the ground, barefoot, his gi fluttering gently in the wind. The ring on his finger pulsed faintly, resonating with unseen frequency. "Son Goku," the grand priest said, his voice carrying through every molecule of air, "you stand in defiance of divine design. You and your companion have rewritten the equation of creation." "I didn't rewrite anything," Goku said. "We just listened." The god's eyes narrowed. "Listening is not your right. Mortals are meant to live within the song, not change its melody." Goku tilted his head, his smile faint but unyielding. "Then maybe the song wanted a new verse." The grand priest raised his hand. The air froze, the stars dimmed, time faltered, even light hesitated. "Your arrogance has reached the threshold of eternity," he said. "I will not destroy you. That would be mercy. I will silence you." And then he struck. The attack was not power as mortals understood it. It was command. It unmade reality with a wordless decree. Mountains dissolved into mist. Oceans flattened into stillness. The fabric of existence trembled under divine intent. But Goku didn't move. He closed his eyes and breathed. The ground beneath him glowed, forming circles of light that expanded outward in gentle waves. Bulma's voice whispered through his mind, "Remember the rhythm." He raised his hand, and the ring flared. The divine energy shattered against him like light against crystal. Waves of force broke, folded, and reshaped themselves into harmony instead of chaos. Goku wasn't resisting, he was conducting. The gods looked on, astonished. The mortal was not fighting destruction, he was rewriting its meaning. Whis whispered to himself, "He's found it, the pure state. Not ultra-instinct, not ultra-reason, something beyond both." The grand priest's face hardened. Enough. He moved again, faster, brighter, infinite. Each gesture was a command to reality itself. Yet with every strike, Goku's aura adapted, transformed, and balanced. He no longer reacted, he anticipated, because he was in rhythm with everything. He spoke quietly, but his words carried through the cosmos. "You call me mortal, but I'm just a reflection of the life you created. You built a universe that learns, now it's learning from you." The grand priest stopped. For the first time since time began, uncertainty flickered across divine eyes. "You speak as though you are the universe?" Goku smiled gently. "No, I'm just part of it. Like you, like everyone." And then the world sang. Bulma's presence returned, not as form, but as sound. Her laughter echoed through the winds, her mind resonating with the very key of creation. The infinite equation had reawakened, its pulse flowing through every living thing. The grand priest turned his gaze upward and saw it. Stars aligning into patterns that formed one endless rhythm.
echoing the heartbeat of existence itself. "This is," he whispered, "the song of mortality." Bulma's voice filled the heavens. Not mortality, continuity. And in that instant, the divine hierarchy shattered. The gods felt their boundaries dissolve, their separation from creation erased. For the first time, divinity felt. Goku stood within the light, his silhouette bathed in cosmic glow. He didn't strike. He didn't conquer. He simply stood still, letting the song unfold through him. When it ended, there was no explosion, no ruin, only silence. And in that silence, the grand priest bowed his head. Perhaps we forgot what creation meant. Goku looked up at the stars, his voice soft. "Then remember it now." The gods withdrew, fading into the fabric of light they had once ruled. Their departure neither defeat nor retreat, but understanding. Whis lingered a moment longer, smiling faintly. "You've changed more than the universe, Goku. You've changed the way it listens." Goku turned to him, the faintest trace of a grin on his lips. "Nah, that was Bulma's idea." And above them, the stars pulsed once, bright, rhythmic, alive. The battle was over, though no one would have called it a battle. There had been no victor, no vanquished, only a quiet shift in the music of existence. The gods had withdrawn to their realms, not defeated, but transformed. And in their absence, the universe exhaled. Goku stood beneath the starlit sky, his ji torn, his aura dim but tranquil. The world was still humming softly, as though the cosmos itself lingered in meditation. And then, like sunlight through the fog, he felt it. Her presence. "Bulma," he whispered. The air shimmered. Not light, not sound, something between the two. The hum of the infinite equation rose once more, delicate but unbreakable. And there she was, a shape made of energy, gentle and luminous, standing beside him as if she'd never left. "Did you really think I'd miss the ending?" she said with a grin. Goku smiled faintly, his voice soft. "Nah, you never miss anything, do you?" "Please," she teased. "I missed plenty when I was human, but now I see everything, every atom, every pulse, every thought. And you've become something beautiful, Goku." He shook his head slowly. "I'm just me. I'm still learning." Her light flickered, warm and fond. "You always were."
But Goku's expression grew thoughtful. So, what now? The gods are gone, but that balance they kept? It's still there, right? Bulma stepped closer, her light brushing his shoulder. "Balance isn't something to keep, Goku. It's something to live. That's what they never understood. You can't guard the universe like treasure. You can only listen to it." He nodded, closing his eyes, letting her words sink into the rhythm of his breathing. "I can still hear it," he said quietly, "the heartbeat of everything. It's like everyone's part of it now." "They are," she said, "even the gods. You showed them how." He chuckled softly. "I didn't do it alone." Her voice gentled. "You never do." In the days that followed, Earth entered an age unlike any before. Technology and Ki merged under the quiet guidance of Bulma's lingering consciousness. Machines began to harmonize with life instead of consuming it. Energy flowed freely through natural circuits, cities pulsing like living organisms powered by resonance rather than greed. Humans learned to feel Ki, not as power, but as empathy, the sense of being part of something larger. The martial artists of the world found that fighting no longer came from anger or survival, but from understanding movement itself, the pure joy of motion within the music of creation. Even Vegeta, proud and unyielding, stood once at Capsule Corp's balcony, staring at the sky that had once terrified him. He felt it too, the rhythm, the pulse, and though he never said it aloud, he smiled. This fool actually did it. He made gods listen. But Goku was not content to remain still. He trained, yes, but not to grow stronger, to grow deeper. He began to travel beyond the stars, guided by the echoes of Bulma's voice. Through the reaches of creation, he found other worlds beginning to awaken, other beings feeling the call of the infinite equation. Everywhere he went, he taught without teaching, not words, but presence. Warriors, mystics, and even divine creatures gathered around him, drawn to the balance in his energy. To them, he became not a fighter, not even a hero, but a teacher, a wandering embodiment of unity. Some called him the Resonant One. Others called him the Mortal God. But Goku rejected every title. "I'm just Goku," he would say with a grin. "I just like meeting strong people, inside and out." And somewhere in the silence between galaxies, Bulma's laughter would echo. "You haven't changed at all." One evening, far from Earth, Goku stood on the edge of a dying star. Its final light flickered weakly, casting golden ripples across the void. He watched it with quiet reverence. "You know," he said aloud, "you'd probably figure out how to keep this thing burning forever if you were here." Her voice replied softly, woven into the light. "Maybe. But maybe it's supposed to fade. Endings make room for beginnings." He smiled. "You always say the smartest things. I'm part of your head now, remember? That means all your smartness is technically me." He laughed, the sound echoing through space like starlight. Then silence returned, vast, peaceful. He looked down at the ring again, the faint pulse still beating in rhythm with his heart. "You think the universe will ever stop changing?" Bulma's answer was immediate, gentle, infinite. "Only when it forgets how to love." He gazed at the star as it dimmed, the light fading into darkness. And in that darkness, new sparks ignited, faint but growing. Birth from death, sound from silence, motion from stillness. He closed his eyes. Then it'll never stop. When Goku returned to Earth many years later, the world had become something wondrous. Children practiced meditation in schools. Warriors shared their ki in symphonies instead of duels. Capsule Corp had become more than a company. It was a shrine to curiosity, a place where people studied not to conquer nature, but to understand it. And in the center of the city, a statue stood beneath the open sky, two figures, hand in hand, the scientist and the warrior. Beneath them, a simple inscription read, "Reason and will, two forces, one light." Goku stood before it for a long while, smiling. The wind carried laughter, music, and the scent of life. He could feel her everywhere, in the hum of the city, in the rhythm of the clouds, and the light that touched his skin. He whispered, "We did it, Bulma. The world finally learned how to listen."